Well, good evening, Little Masters, and welcome to the 10th episode of the Rings of Power Wrap-Up.
Folks, go ahead and pull up a bench in the common room. I'm Sean Marchese, the Lord of the Mark, and I'm here with the Man of the West, Alan Sisto.
Now, today we're going to be talking about a lot of things, mostly surrounding the events of San Diego Comic-Con last week. From reconnecting with old friends and meeting a few new ones on Thursday, to the trailer on Friday.
And we might even get a chance to talk about that panel with the showrunners and the cast that was hosted by Stephen Colbert. But folks, for those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. Here at the Rings of Power Wrap-Up, we discuss, analyze, dissect, and speculate all about Amazon's television adaptation of J.R.R. Tolkien's Middle-earth.
We take deep dives into the lore behind the show, or the lore that should be behind the show. We talk about our favorite themes and characters, and a lot more, all based on our many years as Tolkien fans and podcasters.
But we also make sure we have a lot of fun along the way, so we're glad you've joined us.
Indeed we are, and we know you'll be glad you joined as well. But before we get into this episode, we want to remind you that if you'd like some company as you read any of Tolkien's works, you should listen to our original show, The Prancing Pony Podcast.
That's right. For 6.5 years, 260 episodes, and over 5 million downloads, Alan and I have walked our way through Tolkien's Legendarium, from the Silmarillion to the Hobbit, and we've just finished up the Two Towers.
Now, some say we're the finest Tolkien podcast this side of Bree. We've been invited to speak at Tolkien conferences around the world, and we've been honored with the Tolkien Society Award for Best Online Content twice. Now, we'd honestly like to think there's no better companion for your extended trip through Middle-earth.
But this show is all about the Amazon adaptation, so let's dive in.
Yes.
And I guess we should go in chronological order, just like we do on the PPP. And that means we need to start with your experiences at San Diego Comic-Con on Thursday, which was the day before the trailer actually dropped. Why don't you tell me a little bit, because I wasn't there. Tell me a little bit about what you experienced.
I know. I missed having you there, my friend. It would have been great.
It would have been. I know.
It was a week ago today. We're recording this on Thursday night. And I think one of the highlights for me was probably getting to meet up with a lot of the folks that you and I had gotten to spend some time with in London, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got to meet up with old friends, people we knew even before London, like Corey. I got to spend probably 4 hours hanging around with Corey on Thursday as we got our COVID tests together, as we walked over to the convention center to try unsuccessfully to get our passes, and then walked back to the hotel. And then,
now, why couldn't you get your passes on Thursday? There's got to be a story there.
Well, okay, so we stood in line to get our little proof of vaccination, right? So to go to Comic-Con, you not only had to show proof of vaccination, you still had to wear your masks indoors. It was very serious. They didn't want to turn this into an event. Mm-hmm. So we go over there and we go in line first to get that and get our little wristband showing that we're COVID proof. Then we were trying to find, because we didn't have normal guest passes. I had a press pass that I was actually able to obtain through somebody. And Corey had a professional pass like I had last year, and that's because he was presenting with theonering.net. Now, I did a panel with them last year, and it was fantastic, and it was really easy for me to go and get my pass. And if I had gone on Wednesday night when I first got there, I might have been able to. But the problem was it was so crowded. This was maybe 9 o'clock on Thursday morning, so everybody's just trying to get into the place, that none of the people outside could tell us exactly where to go.
Oh,
we kept bouncing from place to place. We were told, no, not this door. Yes, this door. Then we'd go over to that door and it was closed. And they said, no, you got to go to this door. It was just chaotic. And it was so hot. I mean, it was already really, really warm that day. And we're just like, you know what? Let's just come back later when it's not so crowded.
I've never been to SDCC. I used to go to WonderCon, which is now, it used to be in San Francisco. It's now in Anaheim. It has been in Anaheim for probably more than 10 years. It's like the little sister con to SDCC. I used to go to that one all the time, but it's a lot smaller. It's just packed.
San Diego Comic-Con is massive. I mean, so last year I went to San Diego Comic-Con, but it was like a special edition of San Diego Comic-Con because we were still in pandemic mode. Mm-hmm. And then they did LA. Now the LA Comic-Con is maybe a quarter of the size, and it's big, but San Diego Comic-Con is flat out huge. Attendance there is just, I'm trying to remember exactly how many people show up. They think that numbers vary by year, but it's typically around 150,000 people that show up.
It's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people. Now, I don't know if all of those people show up on the same day. That may be total attendance over the 4 or 5 days. I don't know. But I will tell you there were a lot of people there. It was one of the most crowded events I'd been to since COVID began, really, because you don't get this many people all together.
Right.
But yeah, so I'd met up with Corey. We went over there to try to get our passes. that didn't turn out so well. So we came back and we just sat and talked for like a couple hours while we're waiting for the big event. And that's what I need to tell you about is the big event. So the big event is Amazon. Now, I'm just going to say they invited us, but by invited me, I mean, they said, you're welcome to come. They didn't pay for me to go. They didn't pay for my ticket. They didn't pay for my hotel room. They didn't pay for my drive down there. Amazon did not. Nobody better call me a shill. I'm tired of that. I'm getting absolutely tired of it. By the way, we came up with something while we were there. Me and Varking. Oh yeah. We decided we need to do shield wall, and we just like shield wall, but we need to all have like a copy of the Silmarillion on our forearms, and just
nice shield wall.
So yeah, we'll form a shield wall and protect each other from these idiots out here who seem to think otherwise. So they didn't give me a dime, but they did invite me to a lunch. And it was at this lovely little venue just down the street from the hotel where most of the Amazon folks were, and I was not. And we got to go into this place and meet the cast, and it was fantastic. So the way they worked it out is they had four long rectangular tables, with about 6 members, I would say, 5 or 6 members of the cast on one side, and then they would sit 6 or 7 of us on the other. And you want to find a way to get me quiet, by the way. Put me at the table between Corey Olsen and Clifford Broadway.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't imagine you getting a word in edgewise.
I didn't get a word in edgewise to the people they were talking to. But it also acoustically, because it was a brick building and because the tables were exceedingly wide, you realistically only had a chance to talk to the 1 or 2 people that were directly across from you anyway.
Yeah.
So even though you theoretically got to meet all 21 members of the cast,
you really only had conversation with the person you were closest to.
With about 6 or 7, right? 1 or 2 people at each of the 4 tables, somewhere in that range. So Corey and I, before we went over there, we were talking with one of the Amazon team, and she said, hey, I've put you at the first table. You're going to be sitting across from Lloyd Owen, the actor who plays Elendil. And super nice guy, by the way, but we'll get to that in a second.
Cool.
And she tells us, when I told him that, he was super excited that he listened to your shows, and he said he was going to have more questions for you than you had questions for him.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, but we didn't believe her for a second, right? I mean, Corey and I are looking at each other like, this is an Amazon person trying to tell us that the cast thinks we're important,
right?
And that that they're just blowing smoke, right? This is what a publicist does. They're trying to puff us up. We sit down across from Elendil, and also I might add Elrond. It was a fantastic seating position there at that first table.
Okay,
and the first thing Lloyd says to us is, I am so excited to meet the 2 of you. I listened to both your shows and I have a ton of questions.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was great. And sure enough, he started talking about Notion Club papers mostly with Corey. I had to kind of sit there and nod my head a lot because I don't remember as much about the Notion Club papers as I should, but it was fantastic.
That's awesome.
It's so clear. He wants to understand the lore really deeply.
It's cool that he wants to dive into Notion Club papers because, I mean, that's a Númenor deep cut.
That's deep cuts, man.
Yeah.
That is deep cuts. And that's what he wants is the deep cuts, right? He really wants to get a handle on Elendil. And so I was listening to that conversation while also talking with Robert Aramayo, who plays Elrond. And, we've all heard, I think Leith even confirmed this, that he's sort of the Tolkien nerd amongst the group.
That's what I keep hearing. Yeah.
He's the lore expert, right? He holds these little salons to teach everybody.
As Elrond should, right?
As Elrond, the lore master, should, right? He's got to set up the Hall of Fire and tell stories and everything. Yeah. So I asked him about that. And he said, before I got the part, I'd read the books, but I wasn't a huge geek. And what happened is once I understood that I'm Elrond, the lore master, I knew I needed to be the lore master. So
That's
I
awesome.
Made it my goal to learn everything I could and to become the expert in the cast. And that's what he did.
That's so cool. So he actually set out to become Elrond, the lore master.
He really did. He became the lore master. It was fantastic. Such a great little conversation. I can't remember everybody the way they were at the tables because there was so much moving around in the sense that we would talk with those people. And then after about 20 minutes after the first course, we would move to another table and get those 5-6 cast members for 20 minutes and so on. So we had about 15-20 minutes at each of 4 tables. And most of my time at the first table was spent talking with Lloyd Owen and Robert Aramayo. That's Elendil and Elrond. I did get to talk a little bit to Charles Edwards as well, Celebrimbor.
Okay, yeah.
That was nice. The second table, if I'm remembering correctly, was mostly, and I do know I'm remembering this part correctly, but it was mostly Sophia Nomvetti, plays Disa. She was sitting right across from me. I think I also got to chat a little bit with Tristan Gravel, who plays Farazan. Okay. I love that guy. You see him at the table and you're just talking to him. You don't even recognize him as Farazan because he's shaved his massive beard.
I was going to ask if he had that beard. No.
That's actually his natural beard, by the way. They didn't color it, dye it. That's not fake. That's his real beard.
That is an awesome beard. That is a legit Farazan beard. Yeah.
Fantastic. He is just a real hardcore Welshman. We were talking about rugby. We were talking about, I mean, cool. I love that guy. I think, who was it, him? No, it was Owain Arthur, who actually spoke Welsh during the panel. If you get a chance to listen to the panel on YouTube or to watch the panel on YouTube from Friday at Hall H, it was fantastic. But he was great. And then the third table absolutely ruined me for the rest of my life. I got to spend like 15, 20 minutes talking with Morvith Clark.
Oh, cool. I hear she's so nice. I mean, I know she's actually like befriended some of the other like Tolkien content creators out there. Like,
she just retweeted a picture that Nubeta Dubeta from TikTok took with her, and she posted that on her personal Twitter account.
Awesome.
She's befriended a lot of the creators, and she's so nice. She's just so kind and friendly and warm, and and Galadriel. So it was pretty fantastic to visit with her. I did get to chat also, though, with Benjamin Walker, that's Gil-galad.
Yes.
I love him. He's so funny. He's an American, right? A lot of these others are, of course, English or Welsh. I believe there were a couple of Kiwis or an Aussie in there somewhere. But Benjamin is American, and he is hilarious. He's got such a dry sense of humor. And I got to tell you this, they cast him brilliantly because he is flipping tall. He's super tall, and he's got like Superman shoulders, right? I mean, he's just, wow, dude, you fill out that robe, man. I'm telling you. But he's a super nice guy too.
Honestly, he's one of the ones, like, just based on what I see in the trailers and everything, I really like him as Gil-galad. He seems to have a good presence for that character.
He really does.
It's good to hear he's a cool guy in person.
I know we were like, I wasn't so nuts about maybe Celebrimbor's costuming, for instance, but I really, Charles Edwards gets the part. We talked a little bit, and he really.
Okay, cool.
I told him I'm so sorry about your pending death. But, hopefully you won't suffer long. But yeah, it was. We did get to talk about sort of the epic deaths awaiting so many of these characters. We're talking with the actors like, so what do you think about the end of your life? Farazan gets a really interesting end, doesn't he?
All right, let's not spoil anything now.
I know.
Remember, people listening to this haven't read the books now.
I know. We do know, of course, Benjamin Walker does get an end, but that's because we saw that end.
Absolutely, in the prologue in the movie, yeah.
Yeah, so that's fair. At the fourth table, I honestly don't remember everybody that was there because I ended up getting locked into a wonderful one-on-one chat for the entire time with Cynthia Adai Robinson, the actress who plays Miriel.
Okay.
She is another just fantastic gal, super, super kind, answering some very difficult questions. I felt like we'd connected it just enough for me to go ahead and have the courage as a white man to ask a question about what is it like as an actor of color to deal with the trash you have to deal with online? How do you tune that stuff out when you're working so hard on this part? And so we kind of got to talk a little bit about that. And
what did she say? I'd love to hear,
it was clear that she's a professional. She knows, she just really stays off social media for the most part. And she knew before this even began to expect this kind of thing.
Yeah.
But we talked, that sort of segued into a talk about the importance of representation. Isn't the word that came up, because I don't think that's really the relevance. It's more like that we're not picking people based on, everybody's got to fit this particular look. We're picking people based on their acting skill, based on their ability to carry this character, based on nothing related to their physical appearance necessarily. I mean, obviously she has a regal bearing, and that's important.
She certainly does. Yeah,
she does. Oh my goodness, she does. In real life, she's just this ordinary, nice, smart, beautiful woman who kind of looks smaller than she looks like on screen.
That's great because she's got this, like you said, she's got this regal bearing, in the costume and everything.
5'4" and relatively tiny, but so's Morvith. I mean, she's a little thing. I mean, the fact that she's playing a 6'8".
Yeah, she looks little though. I mean, that's
true.
Is,
she does.
She does look shorter than Galadriel should be.
Yeah,
really.
I know. Yeah.
But she seems like she's doing a good job with the part, so I'm okay with it.
I've got to say, it was so nice to meet all of these people. It really, really was. It was just fantastic. And the thing is, they weren't really done because that was Thursday. And I know we're going to get to the trailer in a bit, but I want to kind of skip ahead to more of the Amazon stuff. So we'll talk about Hall H and the trailer after the break. But Friday afternoon, after all of that, we got to go to a party. It was actually at the same location. There were a lot more people there. It had been open to the OneRing.net, and they had sold, I think, or given away 400 tickets. They'd also given away 100 golden Malorn tickets to people who won trivia contests at the OneRing.net booth. So there were a lot of people there, and it was just a party. And then all of a sudden they say, "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the cast of the Rings of Power." And they come out and they go sit at these tables, and there's a lot of security and everything. And long story short, we got to go through again and just speak ever so briefly, maybe 10 seconds to each of them, take a quick selfie, and they all signed this limited edition print. So now I have a gorgeous print of Lindon with signatures from all 21 members of the cast that were there.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I think the highlight of that second thing was actually getting some one-on-one time with Patrick, one of the showrunners.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get to catch JD. I know he was there because other people talked to him, but I didn't get to spot him. But I ended up having about 5 minutes to sit there and talk with Patrick. And it was, again, a wonderful opportunity. A lot of what he said was off the record, so I can't necessarily tell you things, but I can tell you that it was a good and productive conversation and an interesting conversation.
That's great. Awesome.
Just fantastic stuff.
I can't wait to hear more. But
yeah.
Before we do, we should, as you said, get into that trailer that was released on Friday morning in Hall H. But we're going to do that after the break.
That's right.
So, Alan, why don't you tell us a little bit about Friday? What was it like getting into Hall H, if it was as packed as I know it was?
It was incredibly packed. The line was, so the way it works for Hall H, if you want to get in for sure, you actually line up the day before. So there were people lining up by midday on Thursday. They then would wait in line for 7 to 8 hours and then get a wristband that would get them into Hall H the next day.
Oh, wow.
But many of those people then camped out in the queue so that they could be in the front rows in Hall H.
Wow.
I did not do that.
I can't do that.
I was too busy enjoying the one-on-one lunches with the cast. I mean, let's just be honest. So I went at 6 a.m. So let me back up a little bit. The event starts at 10:30, I believe it was 10:30 to noon. So I got in line at 6, and I wasn't sure I'd get in because this was this massive twisting queue, and then across the street to the hotel and down the street. And that's where I was at 6 in the morning. There were already at least 1,500 people in line ahead of me.
Wow.
At 6 in the morning. So the line itself was great. I actually was able to catch up with several people from the community that were there already. Don Marshall, one of our TikTok friends, who claims, by the way, to merely be a younger version of myself, digressions and crankiness and all. It was.
Oh, I'm so sorry for him when he gets older.
I know. I told him, really, you really want to be somebody else. Anybody else, really, but me.
Yeah.
Visited also with Lauren, who's a cosplayer extraordinaire. She's
yeah. I've seen her pictures. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
At Lauren Does Cosplay on Instagram. Yeah. And Elle Does Cosplay on Twitter. Annex, he's another TikTok guy that we met in London.
I remember him.
Another great chap. Matt from the Nerd of the Rings and his crew, which included his brother and another guy who is part of running his community.
Okay.
Along with Katie and Leah from Mythology Candles. That's our Katie, for the record, Patreon and event coordinator Katie, who also works for Mythology now.
Right.
So got to hang out with them during the line. We did get in, fortunately, and found seats in the cavernous Hall H, which I was told holds somewhere around 7,000 people. It is massive. And then we waited for the event.
Wow. I heard there was actually some footage that they showed before the actual trailer, right?
Oh, yes, there was. I didn't capture it because we were told it was just for us and we weren't really supposed to. I know some people probably did. I've been begging them to please give me the footage, even if I can't show it or even talk about it. I just want to see it again. I am allowed, I suppose. Nobody ever said we can't talk about it. We just can't show it. And the only thing I really remember, well, there are two things I remember. Okay, three. It's all coming back to me now, Sean. One is that they were showing it in that sort of, I don't remember the name of the format now in theaters, where you're looking at a screen in front of you, but they also project it on screens to the side.
Okay.
I don't remember what they call that now. There are going to be folks out there going, well, duh, it's called whatever. So it was in that format. So you're watching the screen in front, but there's also these screens on the side showing more. Mm-hmm. And then I remember the sound. It was this overwhelming whoom, whoom. And it was so reminiscent of that moment in the prologue when Sauron is defeated and that incredible sound wave knocks the elves all on their backsides.
Yeah, yeah.
It was that like a dozen times.
Wow.
Over and over. It was fantastically intense. Of the scenes in that initial, I don't know, exclusive trailer, exclusive teaser, whatever it was called, the only thing I remember was seeing those trees, the light of the trees going out.
Ooh.
And seeing a shadow in the sky that looked a lot like Morgoth.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
So we're actually going to see the darkening of Valinor.
We're going to see the extinguishing of the trees. Folks.
Wow.
Now, I didn't see any giant spiders, but that makes sense because they wouldn't have the ability to show that. So for those of you who are wondering, at the end of the first age in the Silmarillion, we read about Melkor and Ungoliant going to the trees. Melkor hits them with his spear, I should say. Ungoliant goes and drinks up all the sap and drains the trees and poisons them, and then drains the trees of all their light. We will not be able to see Ungoliant because she's not mentioned in the appendices.
Now, that's interesting. She's mentioned in The Lord of the Rings, but she's not explicitly tied to that in the appendices, right?
I don't think they'll be able to do that. So
that's too bad.
But it was pretty intense to realize that we were looking at Morgoth. That was amazing.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the appendix. Appendix A does say, Morgoth poisoned them. Yeah,
that's all we get. So I don't know what they're going to be able to do with Ungoliant, but it was certainly interesting. I do have to say, though, that after seeing all these teasers and trailers and all the clips that they showed us during the Hall H presentation, extended clips rather than teaser type stuff, actual scenes, it's hard to remember precisely what was in that thing that I couldn't record or broadcast. But this is where I remind you what I reminded you in the last episode, that teasers and trailers are cut in order to be deceptive. Yeah, they are trying to trick us into reaching particular conclusions about characters and stories. Don't fall for it. It was fantastic, and I hope that one day they will release it separately because it was really, really neat.
Well, it'll be released on the show in a month's time, probably.
Well, yeah, but I mean, just even cut the way it was pretty impressive.
So let me ask you about something, because this is something that I've been thinking about a lot. Now, I mean, again, I'm still excited for the show. I still think it's going to be good, but I'm thinking the more I'm seeing of the trailers and the teasers, the more I'm realizing, there's a lot of stuff that I'm used to being in the story from the Silmarillion. Yeah, they're not going to be able to do. And you just hit on a perfect one. The idea of Ungoliant not being involved in the destruction of the two trees. Now, obviously, we don't know exactly what's going to happen. Show's not out yet. But how are you going to feel about that? If the show actually does take Ungoliant out of it, how are you going to feel about that? Is that going to...
I think they'll have to, and it'll be a little sad.
Yeah.
I mean...
Is that going to diminish your enjoyment of the show at all, you think?
Not that much. I mean, the reality is Ungoliant only went after the trees because of Melkor in the first place. He was the driving force, if you will, the main cause.
That's true.
She was an accessory to the crime.
Well, come on. She was more than an accessory to the crime. She committed the crime.
She was a full-on accomplice, yeah.
Yeah, she drank the light out of the trees.
But she wouldn't have even been there had Morgoth not
true.
Bribed her and basically said, I'll give you all these riches and, all this kind of stuff, all the jewels.
That's true. But isn't that a little bit like taking the Witch King out of Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah,
I mean, like,
right?
The Witch King is, he wouldn't have done any of those things if he hadn't
without Sauron. Yeah.
Yeah. If he hadn't been duped by Sauron, but he plays such an important role.
Yeah. I mean, it's a reminder of the limited license, and that is frustrating. I think one of the things that we recognize about this show is it is going to be filling in a lot of blanks, because the Second Age, as included in The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, right? Not including the Silmarillion, not including Unfinished Tales, is limited. And so they do have to fill in a lot.
And I'm fine with the filling in of the blanks. I know they've got to fill in blanks. The stuff that I think is going to give me the hardest time is the stuff that I know should be there because it's in the books.
Like the Finrod-Sauron epic rap battle.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, not a rap battle, but yeah.
I know, but the poet, the song battle, for sure. Yeah.
That would have been just an amazing, not flashback, but, an amazing thing to see. See Finrod's, because, they're not going to be able to show Finrod dying in the way he actually dies in the book.
Right.
And that is a problem, right? I would love to see Finrod, as he dies in the Silmarillion, right, defending Beren from the werewolf at the very end, being the one to save his life in the dungeons of Sauron.
Right. Because if we see Finrod die in some other way, well, that's not the Finrod we know.
No. We'll see him die in battle, right? It seems like we'll see him. Maybe we won't. Maybe he'll be captured and we'll be told that he was killed by Sauron or something. I don't know.
Doesn't seem like that based on some of the language we get at the very beginning of this trailer we're about to talk about.
Yeah, that's true. But either way, he's not going to be killed in the dungeons of Sauron on Tauren Garhoth. No.
Right. And that's one of the things that I'm really starting to struggle with. The more I see from the show, and I have to say, I'm still optimistic about the show. I still think I'm going to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'll notice the missing things.
I will definitely notice the missing things, and I'm going to have trouble getting invested in it because I think even more so than Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings movies, it is going to deviate from the story that we've seen in writing.
It has to deviate because of the license,
because of the rights,
and filling in the gaps.
Absolutely.
With the Lord of the Rings, there were no gaps to fill.
I'm not saying that they should follow the Silmarillion and get sued, right? I understand why they're doing what they're doing.
I had a sudden image in my mind of the guy, of Mr. Incredible, in his civilian clothes as the insurance guy saying, "I'm not telling you to violate the terms of your contract and shoot scenes from the Silmarillion.
Right.
I'm not telling you."
I understand why they're making the decisions they're making.
Yeah, I do too.
But as a viewer and as a reader, it is going to make it harder for me when I know that
that's fair.
That Tolkien intended a different version of the story.
That's absolutely fair. No, I agree 100%. I think, there's a decision creatively to be made about, okay, we don't have the rights to that. Do we ignore it altogether and not even touch it? Which they could have chosen, right? They could have just said that, Finrod died. Finrod was killed before the show started and just left it at that and not showed us anything, not showed a battle, not showed us anything. I think what we're going to be seeing is kind of an amalgamation of a lot of famous events that they do have the license to cover. But yeah, it's going to be hard. They can't be faithful to a license they don't have.
Right.
and a show this big with, the incredible amount of money, by the time this is all said and done for 5 seasons, probably a couple $1 billion. By the time that money is spent, are they looking at appealing to the loyal readers of the Silmarillion, those who read the text, a few times a year like us?
No.
Or to everybody else?
I'll stop you right there. Of course they're not appealing to the loyal readers of the Silmarillion. No. They are appealing to a broader audience.
If they were, they would have tried to figure out how to get the rights to the Silmarillion, which I don't think the Tolkien estate was ever going to sell.
No.
Just don't see that happening at any point.
But it does beg the question.
Yeah, it does.
Is this show for loyalists of the Silmarillion, or is it for everybody else?
I think it can still be for both in the sense that you and I, as relatively knowledgeable people in the lore, I think it's fair to say that. We may not be the Tolkien professor.
I think we are very knowledgeable.
But we are very knowledgeable. We're very knowledgeable lay people, right? We're not professors or instructors or medievalists or anybody like that. We're just a couple of guys. But for a couple of guys, we know the lore really, really well.
Yeah.
I think the show can still be enjoyed by people like us, but we'll have to set aside, we'll have to see this in many ways as an alternate version of the story.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is going to be hard to do from time to time.
That is going to be hard to do. I'm admitting that right now as a fan of the books.
You're right.
This could be something in me that I'm going to have trouble accepting it for that. And
that may be fair.
And it's something that I'm just realizing as I'm seeing more and more of the footage. It's not like I didn't know that all along, but the more I'm seeing,
but as you see it, it becomes a little more real.
Yeah.
I think I am more okay with them filling in the blanks than I am with them changing the way things were.
That's just it. Yeah.
That's going to be harder to accept.
but we'll see.
Hopefully there won't be too much of that. I think most of that will be dealt with in the prologue, because then the first stage is over, right? I mean, yeah, we'll see a different death scene for Finrod, clearly, than what the published version of his death is. But then it's over, right? And once we're in the flow of the second age, I think the biggest thing we'll be dealing with is the time compression, not the changes.
Until we get to the fall of Númenor. I think once we get to the fall of Númenor...
Do you think we're going to see significant changes?
I think we're going to have to, because the fullest version of that story is told in the Akallabeth, which they don't have
that is true.
rights to.
That is true. Like, I don't know, for example, do we spoil this and talk about... No, I don't think we
shouldn't. No, we shouldn't talk details.
I don't think we're going to get to see the one individual that we know runs up to the top of the Minotaurma at the very end and is the last one taken. Like, that's a beautiful moment, but it's only in the Akallabeth.
Yeah.
That's not mentioned in the appendices, so they can't.
And I think a lot of the visual imagery we're going to see, like that biblical fire and brimstone kind of stuff that happens.
I think they can still do that.
They can do a lot of it.
Yeah. We'll see. Maybe by then, because that's the 5th season, maybe they will have negotiated additional rights. You know, it's
that's a nice thought. Yeah, maybe.
I hope so. Right. I hope that this first season is so successful, even with the hardcore Tolkien fans, that they're able to go to the estate and the estate says, yeah, you know what, you're going to be able to make this even better if you have the rights to do this and this and that.
Well, and let's acknowledge what we now know for sure, which is that, they have been working with Simon Tolkien.
They have.
That's J.R.R.'s grandson, Christopher's son.
And former guest of the Prancing Pony podcast.
In our first season, we had Simon Tolkien on. He's a novelist in his own right. He's written a bunch of different books, and he is now, I guess, the heir to Christopher, who was the literary executor of his father's estate.
Right.
So they've got some pedigree here. They are working with Tolkien's.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe that will change. I'm kind of putting it out there, because this is my place to talk about what I've been feeling ever since I've been seeing more footage. And I am starting to struggle a little bit, but
that's fair.
But this is a safe place, and I appreciate that I can talk about it. And I'm still going in hopeful, Yeah.
And that's the thing. Look, for those of you who are skeptical or even cynical listening to this, you're welcome here, right? We have no problem with people who are a little concerned or even who are a lot concerned about certain elements of the show. We're not, daisies and sunshine here. We are optimistic. We are hopeful. I think, especially after talking with the cast and the showrunners, and I know I'm conscious of the fact that because I've gotten to meet these people, I am personally invested. I recognize that. But I also know that the show could still be meh or even worse.
Yeah.
And we will tell you that if it is. We will not pull punches. I promise you that. But you're welcome here if you're a little skeptical. The only thing that we've said all along is we're not going to be accepting of anybody whose opposition to this is based on the fact that the cast isn't wide enough.
Yep.
That is the one thing that you're not going to be welcome here.
That's the line.
That is absolutely the line.
If that's your complaint, then you're not
There's
welcome
the door.
here.
Don't let the doorknob hit you in the butt on the way out. Yep. Actually do.
Please do, actually.
Please do. You're invited to let that happen.
Sorry, but that's where we draw the line.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, if you're cynical, skeptical, we get it. We totally get it because we've been there. And yeah, I have access to more information than you've had. And so that's maybe why I'm a little more optimistic. But I could still be wrong. And I have been wrong before.
And hey, I hope I'm wrong. I hope this show is amazing.
I think it's going to have amazing moments, if nothing else. I think we've seen enough to know that there will be amazingly powerful, poignant moments. There was a scene that was shown in Hall H, this conversation between Elrond and Galadriel that was fantastic. It was just one-on-one, the two of them talking, and Galadriel remembers her time in Valinor, a place that Elrond has not been. And it's one of these stories your heart just starts to remember all these beautiful things about Valinor. And you really start to see that in Galadriel as she's talking about it. And it's one of these things where you're like, oh, this is a moment, right? They drop into Quenya for a little bit. Oh, fantastic. So I think there are going to be a series of amazing moments. Will the show hold together as an entirety, as a whole thing? I don't know. That is the thing that's up in the air.
I mean, I like to think that because they've got the whole thing planned out, they know where they're going.
Yeah.
Maybe it will. It's not like it's going to add on new characters and spiral out of control like so many shows do. That
is true. No, they know exactly what's going to happen. And I'm sure as they bring in new characters, we'll see other characters, meet their demise. It won't get out of control. But here's the thing. There may be storylines that we don't like, right? There may be elements to the story that we're not nuts about. It could be that maybe I just don't fall in love with the Harfoots. Maybe Maybe I'm not a big fan of Arondir and Bronwyn. I don't know. We'll find out. I'm a big fan of the actor who plays Arondir. He was fantastic. I got to hang out with him for a few minutes. I actually ran into him in the street on the way back later on.
Oh, cool.
There's a tweet that he put out of him. He's standing in this shirt that looks like the Puerto Rican flag, and he's like frozen in this archer pose. And I actually was there when he shot that and was just talking with him. And in fact, Katie was there with me as well. And she got a little personal shot with him doing the same thing. And
I saw that picture. Yeah.
He's such a nice guy. And he's a really cool guy. And he gets the representation thing too. Look him up on Twitter and find it. He did a post recently that was really fantastic, but
cool.
Great guy. But yeah, who knows? Maybe we don't like the storyline that he's in. I don't know.
Yeah,
I will be rooting for them. I that is one thing I have to admit, that getting to know the cast, it now makes me feel like I'm rooting for Friends.
Cool.
Fair or not fair. A lot of them, I now see them on the TV and I don't think of Disa. I think of Sophia. You know, I think of their actor names and not their character names now. For better or for worse, you know?
Yeah.
We'll see. I think once the show starts, it'll be pretty easy to sink into character because they, especially people like Disa and Durin, oh my goodness, Owain Arthur, fantastic. But he doesn't look a thing like his character because, of course, he's not in his prosthetics. So, yeah, I think for a lot of these characters, it will be very easy for me to immediately sink into them as characters. But
well, I mean, I'm sure they're great actors, so I think that they'll melt into their character for sure.
I think watching some of these scenes in the trailers, you're ready to see them as actors, especially with the extended scenes we got to see in Hall H. But
yeah,
probably time to look at the trailer itself now, huh?
It probably is. I think we've taken a lot of time here to
yes,
just kind of talk about your experience, just because I wasn't there and I got to live vicariously through you, man.
I feel so bad that I was only able to get one print. I'll have to show you this really cool leather bag that they got us.
Oh,
cool. It says it's this really nice little messenger bag, and it says Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, and the logo, stamped in there. And then as they pulled them out, they had somebody embossing them with our initials. So mine says AS on mine.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's really nice. Yeah. But again, they could try to buy my loyalty. I'm not for sale. I enjoyed it. It was fun, but if the show sucks, I'm still going to tell you that it sucks.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Fun time though. Fun time.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and talk about this trailer.
Yeah, definitely. All right. And I'm going to let you take the lead because I have talked a lot. So please walk us through this. I'll sort of jump in from time to time, but yeah, you take the lead.
All right. Well, we start with black and then it fades in to a shot of Galadriel, and she's putting a helm on top of this great big mound of helms.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Now, obviously, this is the aftermath of a battle. There's, stumps visible in the background, just sort of smoke rising in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately, I think everybody who's read the Silmarillion is probably thinking of the Howthen Dengen, right? The Hill of the Slain.
After the Nirnaeth Arnoediad, yeah.
Which was the mound of the slain after the Nirnaeth Arnoediad.
Right. Which is the battle of the unnumbered tears, by the way, for those of you who don't speak Sindarin.
Yeah. Right. But the Howthen Dengen, the Hill of the Slain, was actually bodies. It wasn't just helms.
And it was built by the orcs, basically to dishonor the bodies of their foes.
That's right, yeah.
So Galadriel never would have touched that. But I think this is supposed to harken back to that kind of imagery.
I think that is exactly the image we're meant to think of here.
And that's another thing that makes me think amalgamation of all the battles.
Yeah, that's right, because we think this is probably after the Dagor Bragalach, which is the battle that we keep on seeing represented.
Or that we think we see represented, right? Yeah. Traitors are meant to deceive.
True.
Yeah,
true.
The Battle of Sudden Flame, but this could be the end of the War of Wrath, showing all of the battles, kind of binding them into one.
And we hear Galadriel's voice in voiceover saying something that we talked about a little bit in our last episode. The idea, her words are, "We thought the war at last was ended."
Mm.
And this is another sign of something that I talked about last time. This is a world that has been through a horrible war, the War of Wrath at the end of the First Age. And again, for folks
a war that literally changed the shape of the world in the sense that an entire continent was sunk underwater.
Right. Or a whole chunk of Middle Earth.
A portion of a continent. Right?
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. A whole western piece of Middle Earth was sunk under the water. And a huge climactic apocalyptic battle.
Totally apocalyptic, yeah.
And again, if you don't know that story, go back to the Prancing Pony podcast season 1 and listen to that. But what we're seeing here is a world that is past all that. And a lot of people that we see in this trailer really think that, that's it. Evil's done for. We're going to have peace now. Everything's going to be great.
You can take it easy now.
Right. And then we see that not only in Galadriel's voiceover here, as she places this helm, which I think we have to assume is the helm of her brother, Finrod,
Yeah, probably.
on the Mound of Helms.
That's a good catch, by the way, Sean. I was just thinking, she's placing a helm there, but you're absolutely right. That is almost certainly the helmet of her brother.
Or we're meant to believe it is. Again, meant to deceive, but
yeah,
we're certainly meant to believe it is. But that thought is not only echoed in her voiceover, but also in the next voiceover we get after the Prime Video logo, which is Gil-galad saying, "Today our days of peace begin."
Yeah.
And we're getting this long establishing shot of Lindon. We saw something very similar to that in the last teaser.
Yeah.
And then we get a cut to Elrond.
Mm-hmm. Looking regal there.
Looking regal? Is it regal? I don't know. He looks pleased with something. I don't know.
He's
kind of smirking, isn't he?
He is. I was thinking regal in his costume. I love that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's a beautiful costume. And I think we talked about this costume before, with the brooch that is something very different from like the wood elf brooches that
that we see Arondir wearing. Yeah,
or we see Arondir wear. That's right.
And I love the velvet though. I mean that it's just there's something very rich to this.
Oh yeah.
I guess that's what I was thinking in terms of regal. But you're right. He is sort of smirking a little, isn't he?
Yeah, a bit. And then we cut to another shot as Gil-galad goes on to say, "Today our days of peace begin." He's actually placing a golden laurel of leaves on Galadriel's head. And
it looks like he's already done so to the rest of the people in this circle. Another 8, actually.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So there are 9 of them. That's symbolism right there for you.
That is interesting. I wonder what they're doing with that number 9.
Don't know.
It is interesting because, on the one hand, I'm seeing Galadriel being crowned with a garland, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which, of course, is what her name means, maiden crowned with garland.
That is correct.
In Sindarin. But she's not the only one here.
No, she's one of 9. Well, 10 when you count the king, yeah.
Right.
They're all wearing
it's interesting. I wonder what's going on here. I don't know if this
is... A council of generals of some kind, perhaps?
Maybe
these
so.
are clearly the leaders.
That could be. They're all armored, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are all armored.
Yeah.
And we do know that she plays, a general. So
right. And then we get a fade out.
Yeah. That's a very top-heavy military force, by the way, if you've got 9 generals. I mean, I don't think they have the kind of armed forces required of... They have that many battalions and brigades that they need 9 generals?
Well, maybe they're not generals. Maybe they're... I mean, do we know for sure that she's a general? Maybe she's a captain? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
A lovely symbolic number, though. 9 is such a great number.
It is.
And then we get a fade out.
Right.
And we get a fade in to dwarves at dinner, isn't it?
Well, a dwarf. It looks like we get just Durin the Fourth at one end of the table, but you're looking at Elrond, Celebrimbor there for sure, Gil-galad on the far right.
You're right.
I think that's probably Galadriel between Celebrimbor and Elrond. And even
you're
though
right.
we don't see them, those look like elves.
I was seeing what clearly looked like an underground scene and thinking this must be Khazad Dûm, but you're right. As I look closer, these are all elves around this table.
And these are trees, yeah. And the lights are the same lights that we see in Lindon.
Oh, they are trees, aren't they?
They're in a forest, yeah.
Okay, now that I'm blowing it up, I see that much more clearly. I thought it was underground before when I was looking.
Are you looking at this on your Apple Watch, Sean? Now that it's more than 300 pixels wide, I can see that this is... No, I'm giving you a hard time.
Don't mind me, folks.
Oh, man. But yeah, Durin the Fourth, clearly the guest here at Lindon, raising a glass to whatever. Perhaps Celebrimbor, because he's the one raising a glass as well at the moment.
Oh, yeah. Could be,
Be interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe this is discussing a partnership between...
Whoever's in the middle with their back to us is also raising a glass, too. So
you're right. It's just the timing of the shot.
Yeah.
I love those lights dangling from the trees, though. Those are beautiful.
Those are gorgeous. Those really look like dwarven make to me, but they are clearly elven make.
They're
now
elven.
that I'm not looking at it on my watch anymore.
Very finely detailed, as you would expect one to be from the elves.
Yep.
Very intricate. So what do we think of that, by the way? It sort of mirrors an image we'll see later, which is when Elrond is being escorted into Moria, huh?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Durin's the only dwarf in that shot.
Yeah.
And later we'll see Elrond being...
I think that's why I was fooled thinking it was dwarves.
Yeah, that's fair. We have seen a lot of Moria and a lot of Durin welcoming Elrond there.
Yeah.
So...
All right. And then we get another cut to a scene of what appear to be maybe elvish children running along this beautiful river.
Yeah.
This sort of river bank.
With a little paper boat in the foreground.
Running down. Yep. Galadriel saying, "We thought our light would never dim." I love that.
Isn't that a great line?
That to me, regardless of whatever other concerns I might have, they understand the importance of light to Tolkien's world.
They do.
And I think that is super cool.
They do indeed.
But yeah, like you said, we see this little paper boat floating downstream, and then we cut to what appears to be in an actual shipbuilding, right? There's this very large sailcloth.
It's the Númenorians. You can tell from the guys holding that cloth are wearing the same outfit that the sailors wear on that ship that we saw in the first teaser.
Okay. That's a good catch. And another one of those things that's meant to kind of deceive us, because we get elvish children, we assume.
Yeah.
And then we get, right after this scene of these two, sailmakers or whatever, we get this scene of the elven boat.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously the sailmakers are some sort of Númenorians.
They are Númenorian, right.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get back to Galadriel's boat, very much one of the scenes that we saw a couple trailers back.
Yep. I still feel like this is meant to evoke sailing into the West.
Yeah, it's definitely sailing into the West. The question is this a genuine attempt on her behalf to try to return to Valinor a little early? Or is this a dream of what she imagines it to be like? I don't know.
Well, if you remember from one of the other trailers, it seems like this is happening when the meteor flies over.
That's right. That's right. And remember, there is the shipwreck. So there's very clearly a real moment here. We just don't know if it's that exact ship, but probably.
I said this, I think, a couple of episodes ago. I think we're going to see Galadriel actually trying to sail into the West to leave Middle-earth, maybe, which is different from the motivations that we see of her in the books. Maybe we'll see her actually going into the West, and then something happens. This meteor strike, maybe this shipwreck, something makes her go back to Middle-earth.
That makes me think of a little bit about like the lone surviving person of a shipwreck. Makes me think Varanwe and Tuor.
Yep, a little bit.
This is where I feel like we're going to get some little nods, some little touches that those of us who do know the Silmarillion will be like, oh, that's what they're hearkening back to. That's what they're reminding us of.
Yeah, I think that's probably very likely. Yeah,
that's interesting. Well, then we cut to Sadok, right? And it's the same scene that we saw a couple of trailers back about the skies are strange.
Yep. He's so cool. I love his delivery.
I'm looking forward to that character. I really am.
He's got such an amazing accent.
Yeah. So now before we get to the next actual scene, we get this really quick establishing shot. We see in the foreground, we see a very large, solid building with a golden dome and then a tower. It's clearly that we're back in Númenor, huh?
Yeah, I mean, this feels very Byzantine to me. We talked about how the Númenorian architecture and things and their art design kind of looks very Greco-Roman.
Yeah, we said Greco-Roman. I'm almost broadening that to be Mediterranean in general, right? I mean, because I think we're going to see some Egyptian influence as well.
Yeah, definitely. And this definitely feels like something you might see in Constantinople or
not Istanbul.
Istanbul. Yeah, Istanbul, not Constantinople.
Oh, we finally got a They Might Be Giants reference in, and it's only 10 episodes.
Finally.
I love it.
And then we get the interior. So obviously this is Galadriel and Miriel inside that tower, right?
Yeah.
And they are clearly playing with a Palantir.
Yeah, don't play with the Palantirs.
Don't do that.
No, bad
Miriel
ideas.
is sort of unveiling this Palantir, very evocative of Gandalf and Saruman in the Peter Jackson movie.
Yeah, very reminiscent of that.
I have lots of questions about this scene.
I want to see Miriel and Galadriel go back and forth in a wizard battle, though.
That would be amazing. Yeah. I don't know why Galadriel is in Númenor to begin with, but obviously she's going to spend some time there because we see a lot of interaction.
We know that that's where she ends up after that shipwreck.
Yeah.
Right. So she ends up back there with
I just don't know why. That's all.
Well, that's fair. That's fair.
This is my book purism coming out. Like, why is she in Númenor?
There's nothing that says she didn't go there. Right. So they're not conflicting. She could possibly have gone there at some point, but we would have heard about it.
Well, again, we're dealing with a very different Galadriel than we see in the books because
that is true.
She's not the Galadriel we know from the books. So it's a different version of the character. She has different motivations. She's not married. There's a lot of things that are different about her.
I wonder about that. I mean, we don't know that nothing has been shown in the trailer that she's married, right? We don't see in any of the footage Celeborn. It doesn't mean he's not going to be there. It doesn't mean we're not going to hear about Celeborn back in her husband Celeborn running the show back in Lorien.
Maybe.
I don't know.
We certainly haven't seen anything about him being there.
No, but we also know, for instance, that Anarion spends this entire season off screen.
Yeah.
But he's going to be back.
Could be. I don't know. She sure is going on a long journey alone.
She is. She is. It's a long time away from home, but they're elves. They can do that.
But why? What is going through Galadriel's head as she's looking at a Palantir? Besides, this is one of those creepy orbs that my creepy uncle made.
Yeah. That's true.
So I don't know. We'll have to see what they're doing with that. I don't know.
Yeah. Now, as a reminder, folks, well, I don't understand. Could they even have one? Yeah, they could have had one. Not only could they have one, all 7 of them were there in Númenor.
Oh, they absolutely
They might have
should
even had
Palantir.
more. There were just 7 that were rescued.
Yeah.
That we know about.
Yeah, they should definitely have the Palantir at this point.
They would have all 7 of them in Númenor. Yeah.
But man, this hand on the Palantir, it's just so Christopher Lee in the movie.
Clearly very reminiscent, intended to be reminiscent, and I think overly so.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried about that. We do get a hint of sort of that ice feel that we get that brings her to the north. So perhaps this is a way for Miriel to give Galadriel a lead on how to chase him down.
Maybe so.
She's saying this is the moment we feared, right? It's here. So Sauron has clearly returned.
Right. That could be. That actually is kind of cool. I like that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that's what this is.
That'll be an interesting thing to send Galadriel on her journey, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if all along she's been saying, look, it's not over. The enemy's out there somewhere. The enemy's out there somewhere. And then she's on a ship, she gets shipwrecked, and she comes back to Númenor. And in that process, she, befriends Miriel, and they look into they have a little slumber party, and they play with the Palantir. And she says, by the way, Sauron is back. The moment we feared is here. And, it looks like this is where he is. Galadriel sees where he is. Now she knows where to go. Could be.
Yeah. That could be.
That could work.
I can buy that. I can definitely get behind that.
But it is weird that she's using it.
It is.
I feel like the Númenorians would use it, but I'd feel really odd. Like, why is an elf using a seeing stone?
Yeah.
But
it's weird.
Who knows?
I mean, I guess elves do use them, right? I mean, they're made by elves. And
yeah, that's true, actually. We don't see that in the books, but we know that they do, because the seeing stone in the west there, the west of the Shire that was looking over the sea.
At Elostirion, yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't remember the name of it. Yeah. And it was basically hardwired into the one all the way across in Tolaresia, wasn't it?
Right, that's right. Yeah. So the elves did use that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It doesn't feel right for Galadriel to me, but hey, we'll see what they do with it.
No, I think that may be it. It's less about elf and more about Galadriel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, we'll see where it goes.
We will indeed. So what's next?
So like you said, there's this kind of ice cut, right? This sort of ice dissolve.
Yeah, I love
And then we
that.
get this massive battle scene. This appears to be the big battle we keep seeing.
Yep.
We think it's the Dagor Bragalach or something similar to it.
Mm-hmm.
Or some amalgamation.
Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to see some conflation,
Yeah.
It's going to be a mix of things. But yeah, big violent battle. We get a shot of an orc coming right at somebody.
Yeah.
And then, wow, it's all so fast. These are frames, mere frames.
And presumably, at least according to the language of the trailer, this is what Galadriel is seeing in the Palantir.
Yeah, you're right. That is clearly what we're supposed to think, is that she is now seeing Finrod's death.
Which, of course, is not what the Palantiri do. But okay,
no, of course not.
But we'll see where they go with it. And then we get the elf screaming. We've seen this shot before in some of even the earliest teasers, right?
Very earliest scenes that were out was this guy getting...
and we think this is Finrod, right?
We do, yeah. I think this is Finrod. And I think that's borne out by the scene that we'll see, the frames that we'll see shortly after, right? We get the ones in stasis for a moment that we saw in the last teaser.
Oh, that red scene, which is gorgeous and terrifying.
But then we get like 8 frames of some guy lying on a stone, holding a dagger that looks a lot like the one Galadriel will have.
Yes, it does.
Very much the Telperion and Laurelin dagger.
Yes, it does.
He's got slash marks on his right arm.
Oh my gosh, yeah, this is brutal. I mean, he
has been torn up.
Yeah.
Clearly dead, and I think clearly Finrod.
I'm sure.
I think this is the death scene. Just given Galadriel's tear, I think is what we're supposed to see on that.
Yeah, definitely.
So then we get the phrase loosely based on the works of J.R.R.Tolkien. Oh, wait, it just says based on. Sorry.
Yeah, they just say based on. Well,
I don't think they're going to admit that they're loosely based.
No, we'll let them have that one.
We're sort of in the neighborhood of the works of J.R.R.
We'll let them have that one. It's based on.
No,
it
is based on. That's true.
But I had the same thought.
Now we get confirmation that those weren't ashes falling in Númenor.
Yes.
Nobody thought they really were. They are leaves from Nimloth. There it is.
Yeah. Beautiful scene as they're actually just coming off of the tree towards the camera.
Yeah.
And then we cut to that overhead shot that we saw in the last teaser. Right.
Miriel and Farazan.
Miriel in the middle and Farazan off to the left.
In the meantime, we're getting more voiceover, right?
Galadriel saying, "Evil does not sleep." And then...
Oh, boy. Okay, now we get...
Then we get some evil. Let's talk about the evil, man.
Okay. Clearly, we've got some sort of priest of Sauron, cultists of Sauron.
Yeah.
The cult of Morgoth. Because, I mean, when Sauron does get back to Númenor...
Don't spoil anything.
Well, but...
Don't spoil anything.
You're right. I don't want to spoil anything, but at the same time...
All right. Okay.
No, because the time of compression has already happened, right? So we know that there is an influence of Sauron. So I'm not going to go into what happens in the future, like towards the end of all of this.
Okay.
But there is an influence of Sauron. I guess I'll just leave it there.
All right.
He has an influence on Númenor.
Sure. Yeah.
That I'm not spoiling anything. And part of that influence is a worship of Melkor.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's right. He never claimed to be a god himself.
No.
He promoted the worship of Melkor. Right.
And so I think, I say cult of Melkor. I mean, these are Sauron-like people, but they are the cult of the cult of Morgoth, the cult of Melkor.
Even Tolkien himself would call them like Melkorists and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And so we've got 3 of them here, right?
I do think, though, that the priest, whoever that is in the lead, who I assume is a priest or an acolyte of some kind, but has that staff that looks very eye-like. It looks like the top of the Tower of Barad-dûr, the little horns, the eye in the middle, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Creepy as heck, though, with the white robes and stuff.
Very much so. Now, this is interesting because this symbol, you're right, this symbol does evoke Barad-dûr, which doesn't exist yet, but that's okay.
No, it does not. Yeah.
Maybe Sauron bases the later design on, this. Who knows?
Who knows?
But what we don't see here is that other symbol that appears to be associated with Sauron that we see later on.
Yeah.
You know the one I'm talking about.
The one we'll see later in the trailer, so we can go ahead and say it now, that looks almost like a sword.
Yeah.
Kind of like with very long, well, not hilt. What are those things that are like vertical on a hilt?
Is it, I don't know. Are they tines? No, they're not tines, are they?
So they're like little vertical lines that go in the same direction as the blade of the sword. And
yeah. Somebody who knows about swords would tell us what these things are called.
Yeah, we'll find out 5 minutes.
The little pointy bits that stick up towards the point of the sword.
Those things.
On the ends of the hilts. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. We don't see that. I don't know where that symbol is used. Maybe, well, we'll see. All I know is that these guys are creepy. They give me the creeps, and then we get the cut to probably the most controversial shot of the trailer.
Yeah.
In the sense that there are a lot of people already saying a lot of things about this character.
Yeah. The first thing I heard, which I think is the first thing most people heard, was like, oh, this must be Sauron.
Right. That's exactly what I've heard. Everybody all over the place is talking about this actor as Sauron. There is no evidence for that.
Yeah.
There is no evidence that this is supposed to be Sauron, right? I think it's pretty clear this isn't Anatar, because that disguise is beautiful and appeared to be trustworthy. And this guy clearly drives a white van. But
yeah, this is a scary guy.
I think this is just a priest of the Sauron cult. I don't think this is supposed to be Sauron. Is there?
I think you're right, especially when you see the 3 of them on the hilltop in the previous shot. Yeah. It seems like this is a priest as opposed to Sauron himself. Yeah.
That's my take on this. I know a lot of people have said this is Sauron. I don't see that there's any evidence to suggest that that's what they're actually trying to get us to think.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Honestly, I think people are not even sure what actor this is.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I've seen some confusion as to which actor or even actress this is.
Yeah, so a lot of people were saying, oh, that's Anson Boone, who's an actor I'm not terribly familiar with. I know that he played Johnny Rotten in a recent Sex Pistols movie, but I didn't see that because I'm not really a fan of the Sex Pistols, to be honest.
Good for him. Yeah.
But then I saw a lot of people saying, no, that's not Anson Boone. I saw like on Reddit, I saw like a side by side of this actor's face with Anson Boone's face, and like, no, the noses are totally different. So I've even seen some people saying that, no, this isn't a male actor at all. This is actually the actress Bridie Sisson.
I think that's how we pronounce it. Yeah.
Something like that. That's what it looks like.
And it does look more like her when you look at the images of her that are available online. That looks like a match for her, not for Anson Boone.
Right. But I'm not familiar enough with any of these actors to know for sure.
No, me neither. And I can just tell you that neither of them were at the lunch that I got to.
Okay. There you go.
And any talk like that was shut down pretty quickly. We weren't getting spoilers from the cast. They were not there to ruin it for us.
Of course.
But yeah, I don't think.
But clearly this is not Sauron and his Anatar guys, because as you said, Nobody's going to trust this
No,
person.
nobody.
This is not a trustworthy person. This is someone terrifying, scary, and evil.
Seriously. Absolutely. So then what do we get after that, right? We get the door opening. Oh, the dwarves escorting Elrond in.
Yes, we get some this is actually Khazad-dûm, unlike the scene that
This
I
is
saw. This is
Khazad-dûm. Oh.
Elrond walking in behind a dwarven guard. And we're actually getting a voiceover from Durin III, right? The old Durin here.
Beyond the darkness.
Beyond the darkness, tempting shadow.
To bury us all beneath the mountain.
Yes.
I think we're supposed to think digging up the mithril is going to bury us all beneath the mountain because there's a bad thing we don't want to wake up.
Yeah, there's something down there.
There is. Yeah.
We get really briefly, right when this door opens, we do see this really cool dwarven helm in the darkness, right?
We'll see them. Oh, that's right. That's not footage that we've seen later. Okay. So one of the scenes I got to see is the extension of that. Elrond is walked in. Yeah, he's walked into a chamber for this challenge where Durin IV, this is after some sort of falling out, because Durin keeps referring to him as the elf. He doesn't even call him by name. He doesn't address him directly. It's this challenge where basically if Durin wins, Elrond is banished forever.
Okay.
And if Elrond wins, then Durin will grant him one boon.
And it's not Anson Boone.
It's not Anson Boone. And they go to breaking rocks is what it is. We only got to see Durin smash the rock, and then we get to see Elrond take up the hammer, and then the scene ended. So we don't know what happens.
Okay, cool.
But in that scene, I have to tell you, and we can briefly see them, these helmets, these ceremonial helmets that these guards have are full face helmets. They can barely see out tiny little slits, but faces are carved on them and beards are carved on them. The helms go
that's awesome.
all the way down to like mid chest with these beards carved in the metal of the helm.
Oh, that's super cool, because we actually see in the Silmarillion that the dwarves did carve these
terrifying masks,
scary faces into their helms, right? Their visors had these faces to intimidate their enemies.
That's exactly right. Yeah, especially the dragons, right?
That's a cool.
Yeah, they really look good. I can't wait to see them in
lore
action.
bit. I like that.
Yeah. Some of the scenes we saw, during the panel, basically they would stop and take a break and then show us a 2-minute clip. And so we did get to see a few clips that some of the scenes from the trailer were taken, and this is one of them. So
cool. That's exciting.
It really is exciting. So yeah, then like you said, Durin, and then we go back to the dwarves, and then Galadriel with, oh my goodness, all that ash on her face. This is terrifying, isn't it?
So obviously she was personally at that battle, if it is the Dagor Bragollach or some
amalgamation is our favorite word now.
Some combination. She was there, covered with ash. Wow.
I was there, Elrond, 2,000 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we see her get up, all this fire all around her.
Just devastation, total devastation.
And then, oh my God, the long shot is just brutal. I mean,
it is
destruction and flame everywhere.
Everywhere.
And we get that voiceover of he has not one name, but many.
Oh.
As we cut to
that terrifying looking fortress somewhere in the northern mountains, right?
Yeah.
Blue light from the moon. We get a lightning strike even. And then we get that logo you were talking about.
Yes, that is the symbol that we keep on seeing. And we even saw briefly in London when we saw some of the footage there.
That's right.
This is either a symbol of Sauron or Morgoth. It definitely is something evil.
I'm thinking Sauron, but yeah.
I'm assuming it's probably Sauron. But really, it's great. It's a great shot because, I mean, again, we talk about how evil in the First Age dwelt in the north, and the cold and everything is associated with evil. And we get this really cool moment of the ice.
Yeah. Oh,
kind of the frost building on that symbol. That's a super cool shot. And then, and then we get poor Theo.
I know. Whose
Theo,
arm just gets ripped out of his socket by
this. Sitting there just playing with his fidget spinner. And this old man just grabs him.
He's doing his Rubik's Cube for the 30th time today.
Absolutely, yeah. The old man grabs him, rips his arm out of its socket, and says,
seriously,
have you heard of him, lad? Have you heard of Sauron?
Have you heard of our Lord and Savior, Sauron King Excellent? Can we leave you this brochure?
Can we leave you this pamphlet?
Oh, man, that's brutal, but so true.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Dude, no, leave me alone. Stranger danger.
Stranger danger indeed.
This poor kid.
Mom, help.
Let go of me. I mean, he's just like, let go of me.
Can you please let go of my hand?
Let go of me. I don't like you. You're creepy.
Seriously creepy. I mean, wow.
No, I haven't heard of Sauron, and I don't want to now.
Yeah. Talk about not making your Sauron guy attractive.
Right.
Oh.
And then as he pulls away,
isn't that an interesting cut? Yeah,
it is a great cut because as he pulls away, we cut to his mom, Bronwyn.
Same exact motion, right? That pulling away,
hiding in this wooden structure, a house, an attic, closet of some kind. Yeah.
Oh, and then this orc hand climbing up. Oh god.
Yeah, that's not a good thing.
No,
that's not good.
That's a scary looking orc. That's a scary looking orc for sure. Yeah. Discover the legend. Little texts. I don't know.
Or our version of the legend.
Discover our version of the legend. That's a very good point. Discover our particular unique spin on the legend.
Yes. And then we cut back to Theo holding the stub of that black sword. We've seen this shot before.
Yeah, and we get this sort of reverse Morgul blade.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Oh, man.
That's interesting. I mean, yeah, clearly it just kind of forms in his hand, but I didn't think about it as a reverse Morgul blade.
It feels very much like that. I mean, it's the same black mist effect that we get, in the Lord of the Rings when Aragorn picks up what was left of the sword. Yeah, the Morgul blade that had stabbed Frodo, right, on Weathertop.
Yeah, that's right. This is the exact opposite of that scene. It's almost like they ran the video backwards.
They just ran it backwards. Ooh, that is an intense scene. What is driving that, right? I will be curious to see how they...
Theo's story is going to be a very interesting one. I think this kid he's destined for something big. I mean, he's...
Maybe not good either.
I know. I'm kind of worried about this because it does kind of seem like it's pushing towards him sort of being corrupted by evil in some way.
Yeah, becoming maybe a ring wraith. I mean, I hope not, but he's such a nice kid too.
Does kind of seem like that with the reverse Morgul blade, right? It does kind of seem like that might be what this is.
Like I said, I hope not, because he's just the nicest kid. The actor who plays him, I got a chance to visit with him a little bit. His was an interesting story. His name is Tyro. He's from the west coast of Australia, and he said that on the west coast of Australia, there's not a lot of acting jobs to be had. Sure. He had done like just a couple of television commercials, and then he talked about how he got this call from his agent about auditions for an unnamed Amazon project that might be the Lord of the Rings. So he tried out, and then the next thing you know, he's over in New Zealand shooting with all these people, and it was really his first, like I said, he'd done a couple commercials and that was it. So it's gonna be interesting to watch him grow as an actor, and then of course watch his character grow. But
it'll be interesting if we see, if he does have this huge purpose, whether it's a good purpose or some terrible purpose, it will be interesting to see, a child actor take on a role like that. I know you were never a fan of Game of Thrones, but there were...
Well, I never watched it, right? I mean...
Okay, yeah.
It's hard to say I'm a fan of something I'd never watched.
Sure,
it's just, I knew it was too violent for me. It's not my cup of tea.
But there were a couple of great roles for child actors in that show. I mean, one was, King Joffrey Baratheon, played by an actor named Jack Gleason, who was just the most evil person in that show for the seasons he was on it. But he was a kid. He's like this completely sociopathic little spoiled kid who becomes king. And he was played so wonderfully and so evilly by this actor. Like, so much so, this actor did such a good job that people hated this actor. Like, they couldn't separate the actor from the role.
Oh, that is unfortunate. Yeah.
And people kind of gave this guy grief because they hated him because they hated his character so much. And there were a couple of other characters like that. There was, like Bran Stark, who was another child character who just had this incredible power and purpose. And it'll be really cool to see something like that again. That's where I want the similarity to Game of Thrones to stop, because I want this to be its own thing. I don't want it to be like Game of Thrones, but it would be very cool if we see another child actor take on a really meaty role like that,
Yeah, I agree. That would be interesting. Now, speaking of why he might be evil, I mean, let's remember the area that we're in here chose the side of Sauron back in the day, right? They chose against Númenor.
Mm-hmm.
They are the people who will end up becoming the Southrons.
Right. Yeah. The Haradrim.
And the Haradrim.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
These are no friends to Númenor. At least they weren't. There is something that makes me think, because we're going to meet so many of the heroes of the story, that maybe Bronwyn and Theo are different. Obviously Bronwyn is connected with Arondir, and Theo is Bronwyn's son. So maybe there's an element of, hey, we chose the wrong side, let's choose the right side now, sort of thing going on. And I think we'll see a hint of that later as Bronwyn is sort of speaking to her people later.
Wouldn't it be a great story, though, if Bronwyn decides to pick the right side and her son doesn't?
Ooh, nasty, but you're right, that would.
That would be a brutal story, but it would be a great story to tell.
It sure would. So then
here's my chance to point out that Bronwyn and Theo do not sound like Southern names, but okay, sure.
No, well, and Theo's obviously short for something, because it isn't just Theo, right? This isn't like the Greek, Theophilus or something like that.
Right. I'm thinking it. Maybe it'll be short for something Old English. You got like
something
Theoden,
like a Theodred or Theowen, that kind of thing.
But Bronwyn is Welsh. It's just a straight
Bronwyn's very straight up
Welsh woman's name. It's a common name today. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll find out.
The naming of characters has been a sticking point for me from the very beginning.
No, it has. I know. We talked about Halbrand a little bit, I think, back when we figured out what his name was. We were not so nuts about that, but we shall see.
Anyway, then we get a cut to another caption, that forged the ring.
Yep.
So again, discover the legend previously, now that forged the rings.
Yes. So then Galadriel and her special forces unit walking in a snowy cave. Yeah. And Galadriel talking about, why we can't leave evil unchecked, right? It's going to come up if we don't do something about it. We get that sword symbol, the 3-pronged sword symbol in the frost. Galadriel talks about evil taking us all.
Yes.
And then we get some dramatic action, don't we? First, that big chunk of ice being hurled towards the elves, but we don't get to linger on that because all of a sudden there's a boat exploding in a harbor.
It's fire. This is a song of ice and fire right here.
I guess so, and it's in Númenor. Oh, please don't tell me that's... No, I don't want that to be a song of ice and fire. Oh, man. Because there's already so many people who think this is going to be Game of Thrones in Middle-earth. I sure hope
Well, it's
not.
like I was just saying. I mean, I want some good child roles, and I want the similarity to end there,
Yeah. Well, and I think it will. Remember, one of the things that they talked about, the showrunners talked about in London was, and I think it was Patrick, we've reached peak bleak on TV, and that's not what we want. We're not for that.
Yeah. That was cool. That was one of my favorite comments that they made. So back to the burning boat. This is Númenor, you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Look at the costumes of the characters in the foreground.
Okay.
And it's the same stuff that we've seen on sailors and on the cavalry guys.
Okay. Yeah. I see it now. You definitely see like the two guys in the immediate foreground. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Yep.
And then you can also see the architecture on the buildings in the background behind the ship. That are very clearly
interesting. I wonder what that
related to that sort of Greco-Roman influence that we see in this, in the sort of proto-Minas Tirith.
Part of me was wondering for a split second when I first saw this trailer. I was wondering, are we seeing the burning of the ships?
Oh, wouldn't that be amazing?
It's a flight of the Noldor,
I don't think they can cover that. No,
they probably can't. That's true because that's in the Silmarillion. It's not mentioned,
and it's not even mentioned in the Lord of the Rings appendices.
Right.
Yeah, this is a boat in one of the harbors of Númenor. But it's a great shot.
Yeah.
And then we go back to Bronwyn and Theo, right?
Yeah.
Theo.
And Bronwyn saying in voiceover, "Find the light and the shadow will not find you." Yet another thing that leads me to believe that Bronwyn may end up going good and Theo may end up going evil.
Oh, that is heartbreaking, but you're right. It certainly could. Especially because then we cut to an evil scene, right? We cut to Eddar walking into this area of orcs, this scary looking area of orcs.
Yeah. Now, what do we know of Adar here? I don't
nothing.
Really.
We know nothing
at all, right?
I think we speculated last time, since Adar means essentially father, that maybe this is the first of the corrupted elves, and that, that is to say he's the father of the orcs. But I don't know. That seems
hard
really
to believe
weird.
he would still be around after
That's
all
the
this
thing.
time. You'd think he would be like one
years
of
later.
Yeah, he'd be one of Morgoth's chief captains.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see him just be a corrupted man who's kind of or a corrupted elf who's like a cult leader,
Yeah, I can buy that. Maybe I don't know.
We don't know.
He's going to be connected somehow with one of the main characters, right? I mean, either he is a cousin or a brother or somebody related to Galadriel or Elrond or somebody. He's going to be, there's going to be some reveal that he's connected to one of the good
probably
guys
so. That's a good catch.
Family way. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
What's funny is I've heard some crazy rumors like, oh, it's Feanor, or it's Maglor or something like that. One of these.
Yeah, let's not go full like Shadow of Mordor and completely upend the lore like those games
let's
did.
not do that. Oh no, I'm with you there.
All right.
So then we cut to Halbrand. Okay.
Yes.
Now he's still wearing that leather thong, but it's underneath his tunic, so we can't see what it is.
Yep.
And then of course he's got the leather bracers. That's a sharp outfit, actually. I like it a lot.
It's pretty cool. Again, very young Vigo, like you said last time.
Yeah. I wonder if either of those two actors to the side, the Númenorian guards, I wonder if one of them might be somebody we know.
I wonder, yeah.
We'll have to ask him.
You will have to, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we can't say because we don't know if we're allowed to. We don't want to get him in trouble right now.
Right. What's behind Halbrand here? All these candles. Is he like emerging from some kind of crypt or something?
Maybe.
Where else would you have a wall of candles like that?
Or maybe a cathedral or church type of thing.
Maybe, yeah.
Well, except that there shouldn't be any of those on Númenor except for one very bad one, and they're not burning candles there,
right? Because when they were good, the only religious practice was atop the Meneltarma. There was no altar, there was no church or anything up there.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
That is correct. And
then we get a couple of really short cuts while Bronwyn is saying, "Together we can survive this."
Yep.
We see very briefly Bronwyn standing on some sort of balcony, pulpit, parapet kind of thing, kind of giving a speech with Arondir standing next to and slightly below her, looking up at her lovingly.
Oh, yes. That's my woman.
And then
we get cut to the scene that we've seen in a couple of the trailers so far, which is these elves, bringing their swords out.
Yep.
But that cuts to a shot that I actually like a lot. Galadriel coming on board a Númenorian boat in full armor.
Yeah.
Ready to do her thing.
Let's talk about this armor. There's been a lot of discussion about this armor and the star that's on it.
Yeah.
What do you know about that? What conversations have you been having with people in San Diego?
Not a ton. I spoke with the cosplayer, Lauren, who had a cosplay version of this costume that was fantastic. It was so good. I remember a bunch of us were talking to our Amazon people and being like, look, I know Lauren's not officially part of our group. I know she's not, one of the community leaders that you've, brought to these events, but she needs to meet Morvith Clark. Morvith Clark needs to meet her because she's in full costume at the party. And sure enough, they actually took her down and she got a chance to meet Morvith one-on-one. And there were some great pictures. And of course, Lauren was crying like a baby.
I did see that.
I would have too.
Yeah.
So cool. So much work she put into that. And it looked fantastic. I know that there has been some controversy about the star being related to the House of Feanor, right?
Oh, interesting. That's not what I heard. I actually heard people say that the star was actually a star of Eärendil.
And I had not heard that.
And that she is wearing that because she got the armor from Númenorians.
Oh, that would fit, because I think the thing I was reading about the Feanorian star, the Feanorian device, I should say, is related to her other armor that we see her wearing, the stuff with the chainmail.
Okay.
So that would make sense.
Yeah. I mean, this doesn't look like Númenorian armor. It certainly doesn't look like the armor that the other Númenorians in that shot are wearing.
No, they're all wearing, like a scale armor, not plate.
And why are they wearing these horsehair crests on their helms?
That's interesting.
This looks Rohirric. And I mean,
the whole helms look Rohirric,
They really do.
The cheek guards and the nose guard, it all looks very Old English.
Yeah, it doesn't look like that Greco-Roman thing that we associate with the Númenorians. And I'm trying to remember, did the Númenorians even, were they known for breeding horses?
I do believe there were some stuff in the Second Age, but I guess that's the thing. They can't address that specifically because it's in Unfinished Tales, but
yeah, I don't know. Kind of a weird look to me, but
yeah, it is an odd look.
I'm all for Galadriel wearing the Star of Eärendil, though. That's super cool.
Oh, that would be phenomenal if that's what that is. I had no idea if that's the case, but so then we get that amazing handshake, right? Fight with me. She's got the little bit of chain that you can see under the plate, and she's grasping wrists with that same red armor that we've seen before. And it is killing me that I can't remember which character this is. We know it's not Elendil because Elendil wears blue.
Right?
We know it's not Isildur because Isildur at this point is still just a sailor. This is a cavalryman because we know that in the poster he's holding a sword with a horse's head. Maybe is it Halbrand?
Could be, maybe. Yeah.
I can't remember now. People are out there like, you idiots, you can't remember.
I know. Well,
there's so many
right
characters to keep track
After
of.
After we finish recording, we will figure it out.
I'm sure we'll figure it out. So maybe if we remember, we'll put it in the show notes. Okay.
Cool.
But I do love that shot, right? I mean, it's an alliance between elf
and man.
Yep.
Yes.
It really is great. And then we get a really cool action shot with Arondir. Woohoo!
Elf parkour, jumping this huge distance down
onto that bridge. I think that's the same bridge we saw in the teaser, that where a man was leading the orcs, or Adar was leading the orcs.
It could be. It does look like it. Yeah.
Same sort of dark setting. Same sort of.
It certainly does look like that. You're right.
And so he goes and knocks over that big stone. I don't think that big stone starts the avalanche that we see in the next shot. No. I think it's just a clever cut, but it's great.
Yep.
Oh, and can we talk about how regal Miriel is in that next shot?
Oh, absolutely. Just gorgeous.
That costume she's wearing is fantastic.
I love that kind of sunburst crown, laurel thing she's wearing on, that's coming on both sides of her head.
It is stunning.
Amazing.
And I love the layered look of the top part of her costume and the top part of her dress with the little sort of shiny, almost like a mother of pearl sort of but blue. It's gorgeous. The scaly look.
What is she holding?
It's wrapped up. I would wonder if that's the scepter.
Okay. It almost looks like a very small baby.
It kind of does.
But she's not holding the head up, so it's not a baby.
No.
She's got to be a better mother than that.
I would hope. Well, then again, maybe if it's Ar-Pharazôn's baby.
Well, it could be, yeah.
No.
I don't think it is. Maybe it is the scepter. That would make sense that she's carrying the scepter. Maybe this is like a coronation scene or her, I don't know, some sort of ceremonial thing.
Cuts to the dwarves right away. Disa leading the choir.
Disa in the middle doing that singing, that kind of, I don't know, some kind of like magic singing that we think the dwarves can do, right?
Sure seems to be.
And Miriel's voiceover continues. She's saying, each of us must decide who we shall be.
That's right. Going to be interesting. I don't know. What does that mean? Does that mean that, the books aren't going to tell us who we shall be?
Well, I think it's it goes back to what's the theme of these trailers, right? The theme of these trailers is these people think that they're at peace and war is coming. And I think she's saying ultimately everybody's going to have to pick a side.
We're going to have to pick a side. I also think it's right that a human is delivering that line, because as we know in Tolkien's mythology, the elves are restricted in a way.
That's true. They do not have free will to the extent
not
that
the full free will that we think of us as having.
Right.
That they can choose how they react to certain things, but their fate is written. In the music.
It's in the music that created the world. Yeah.
Right. Men have the ability to shape the world. And so, having that come from Miriel rather than, let's say, from Galadriel, that fits a lot better.
It does make a lot more sense. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And that is a tough concept that we've wrestled with on the Prancing Pony podcast for 6 seasons.
Man, over and over.
Going back
we're
to
keep wrestling with it.
Yeah.
It is a really tough thing to kind of work through. So we get Durin holding the mithril fragment again.
Yes.
And then a cut to Bronwyn and Arondir.
Yep.
It's funny seeing it with the ears, because I spent a good deal of time just chatting with him. He didn't have the ears.
I imagine he doesn't have them on all the time.
No. I do love that brooch that he's wearing there. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Again, different from the Elrond brooch we saw. Mm-hmm. And then we get Galadriel leading the Númenorian cavalry again. I think this is a different angle on this shot than we've seen before.
It's a big force.
Yeah.
And where is she in this particular battle, right?
No clue.
No clue at all. Neither do I know where this is.
No.
Got to be back in Middle-earth, though. I don't think there's a place in Númenor that's going to be looking like this. I could be wrong.
And I can't imagine they'd be, they wouldn't be they wouldn't be charging anybody like this.
No, who would be attacking on Númenor, right? They're obviously on the charge, ready to take battle to somebody. I think they're back in Middle-earth.
Right. And then we get that, that closer, that mid shot of her drawing the sword.
Yep. Hey, I just had a terrifying thought.
What's that?
What if this is also the conclusion of Galadriel's search for Sauron? And indeed, she's the one
to find him,
who ends up capturing Sauron
and capture him and set things in motion.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be?
That would be interesting.
It'd be interesting, but it's kind of messed up.
It is kind of messed up. It'd make her a little more personally invested in the third age, wouldn't it?
It sure would. Like a big oops.
It'd be a little bit less, you idiot men, and more like, I made a mistake.
I said we should kill him, but you guys kept talking about capturing him. Maybe, I don't know.
Right.
And now we get a shot that I don't think, again, this is a trailer thing. I don't think this next shot is directly related. These orcs on a raid here are not the orcs that the cavalry force is charging because they're in a forest.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just more action just to keep the trailer
Orcs on a raid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we talk about the sea monster in the next shot?
Galadriel doesn't seem to want to. I think she wants to get as far away from it as possible.
She wants to get far away from this massive thing.
It's destroying whatever's left of whatever boat she just got off.
Yeah, it is now splinters. And bad news. I thought the trailer was over at that point, by the way. I did, because it sort of had this slight moment of silence as we see the camera go beneath the water. But then sure enough, it's not over.
No, because we get Durin the Second again in
Yeah.
voiceover. There can be no trust between hammer and rock.
But while he's saying that, we're seeing Númenorians.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going back to Durin the Fourth. Oh, now we get a shot of the mask. Look to the left of Durin.
Oh, there it is. I see it. Yep.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, I see it just to the left
That
of
is
Durin the Fourth.
just an amazing mask.
That's cool.
I do love that
that
touch,
is super cool.
isn't it? There's my next cosplay. Then nobody even has to see me.
There you go.
Except how am I going to make a mask like that doesn't weigh 8,000 kilograms?
I know, right? I guess you can make it out of plastic.
I guess.
Spray paint it to make it look like metal.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're
Meteor Man and Nori.
Yeah. Let me ask you though. So Durin is saying here there can be no trust between hammer and rock.
Yeah.
Eventually, one or the other must surely break. Now, obviously, he is speaking metaphorically about something.
Clearly, yeah. Darnak and Jalad at Tanagra.
Is he?
It's a metaphor.
Is he talking to?
Sorry for the Star Trek reference.
I figured, yeah. Is he talking to Elrond about maybe some proposed alliance? Elrond is, either proposed.
Well, remember, there is this challenge where Durin brings Elrond back into Moria, and he's ticked at him for whatever reason, and is basically saying, you lose this challenge, you're going to be banished forever. And it's about hammers and rocks. So I think it might be a metaphor that he's using with Elrond and talking about perhaps elves and dwarves.
Maybe, yeah.
But
and yet we're seeing Númenorians.
I know. And then we're seeing the Meteor Man and Nori.
Yeah. Interesting.
I don't know.
Definitely a metaphor, though. Or to quote Taserface from Guardians of the Galaxy, it's metaphorical.
That's brilliant, man. We get a Star Trek and Guardians reference in the same paragraph. I love it.
All right.
So Nori trying not to get toasted in the fire, though now I'm trying to remember where we saw it. I think I saw it in one of the scenes at Hall H, but we noticed it earlier. The fire's not hot. She actually observes that out loud. When she falls into the pit, she says, the fire's not hot.
Oh, of course. Okay, yeah.
And that's why she's able to stand there and help him.
Right, because a hobbit has to say that a fire is not hot. Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, somebody better, because otherwise she's going to be frying like a grilled cheese sandwich in there. Yeah,
I know, but come on, we got to have a scene where a hobbit is touching fire and is like, "Oh, it's not
hot." Oh man, that's great.
It's quite cool.
And
then we get another goofy.
What do we think? Before we move on from Meteor Man, what do we think there of that shot of her like helping him up or holding his hand? I don't know. Again, that just speaks to.
I think she's making a mistake.
I think she will regret that choice.
I think she's backing the wrong horse here. I don't know
might be.
why I think that, but I just think this is not going to end well for her.
No. So now I don't know that this next shot is quite as physics defying as we would say. He's clearly moving at a very rapid velocity, but we did see an extended scene of this. And there's this sort of tug of war back and forth with these chains because these guys are all strapped into chains as they're slaving away. And the orcs are all beneath this, sort of a big, I don't know, a roof of some kind, because of course they don't want to come out into the sun.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's what's happening here. Right? This orc is covered up, you can't really see him. And I think that that's Arondir doing an elf thing, but it's not quite as over the top as the fight with the warg.
Which happens in this same scene.
which happened in the same location, but I think in a different time because it's a much brighter shot here. But yeah, maybe it is the same scene.
Yeah, I don't know.
Whoa, and then we get another cut. How quick is that? Is there something in their middle that's like a millisecond frame?
Is it like, I'm just trying to run back.
I can't even tell what that is. Right there at 2 minutes, 19 seconds, there's something. Oh, that I think looks like the Meteor Man with Poppy in the background.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
See,
yeah.
There's Nori and Poppy.
Yeah.
And this guy on the ground. Don't know what's going on.
Wow, that's super fast.
But that is over in a heartbeat. And now we're back to Arondir, this time maybe being flung into the pit at the beginning. I don't know. Once again, these things don't really show us a lot in terms of timing.
No.
You know, a lot of it's going to be cut and edited out of order.
Yeah.
Clearly, orcs protected from the sun with those outfits. I think that's going to play
I love
into it
that
a
orc.
lot.
That orc shot is so great.
Isn't it?
These orcs are so scary.
They are terrifying. I'm very much looking forward to practical effect orcs. Okay. Freezing on the first frame of the next shot. We're obviously in a human town. Again, this looks like it might be Tir Harad, right? So we've got a lot of people there, but not just people. Look to the right. What do you see on the right-hand side of this frame?
Let's see.
Do you see Númenorians in their armor and a Númenorian emblem on a staff?
Oh, yeah.
And a guy with a little horsehair?
Yeah. Interesting. What do you make of that?
Númenorians are present. This might be that chase. Maybe this leads to what we talked about, the idea that the Númenorians have come to Middle-earth to search for Sauron.
Huh? Yeah.
Oh, boy. Oh, this is getting interesting now, isn't it?
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, we're definitely seeing those horsehair crests. We're seeing that staff.
And then there's that explosion of some kind that just, bowls them all over.
I mean, I thought that was Trogdor, but apparently not.
I love that if it was. Consummate V's. Is there consummate V's? It was a man. It was a dragon man. Maybe it was just a dragon. Anyway, Galadriel, I think at that same location. I don't think they're tricking us because she's wearing the right armor.
Yeah, she's wearing the right armor. There's some sort of explosions happening around her. Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe she's seeing something happening that she's not happy about.
Maybe.
I wonder, are we seeing, given the time compression, are we seeing Númenorians raiding a peaceful village of quote unquote lesser men?
Ooh, that would be unfortunate, wouldn't it?
Are we seeing Númenorians do some stuff that
I don't think Galadriel would be a part of a raid.
No, exactly. And I think that could be what's happening is she could be seeing these Númenorians doing this and going, oh.
I still lean more towards they're searching for Sauron here, or searching for signs of some evil something, a ringwraith or Sauron or something.
Maybe.
And they find it by it blowing up, right? Or by the bad guy triggering
maybe,
an
and that's what
kind.
because she's closing her eyes. She's in some sort of distress, so she's closing her eyes there.
Yeah. Oh, this could be interesting. I wonder if this is where they find Sauron.
I wonder.
All
right.
Oh, speaking of bad guys, we get that priest or acolyte
priest of Morgoth,
again.
the priest of Sauron again. Yeah.
Or priestess of Sauron, as the case may be. It really does look like the actress's face there, not.
It
not
does. Yeah. The
Boone's.
shape of the nose and the shape of the face and everything.
And the cheekbones, especially.
Yeah.
So, but what do we make of this particular scene, right? Embers blown from his or her hand, form, and sort of that, ooh. Did you watch carefully at what comes out of the hand? It looks a lot like the same shape mist that reformed the sword that Theo was holding.
Oh, I guess I could see that. Yeah.
It's sort of this dark mist, almost, it's barely even something you can see through. It's super dark.
I can see that. Yeah.
Now, I don't know that that's related to this leaf.
To the leaf blowing. I mean, we're meant to think it is.
We're supposed to think that it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
If that's the case, now where are we? I think we're near Moria because I think we're seeing some mithril veins in the rocks.
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
But how? You've been told many lies of Middle-earth. Okay, so clearly a priest of Melkor basically is trying to tell you that everybody else is lying to you.
Right.
The leaf turns to fire. Can I talk about something that I've seen a lot of people say that I'm actually maybe leaning into a little bit?
Yeah, please.
Summoning the Balrog. This is almost like planting the Balrog there.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I think it's terrible if it's the case.
It's interesting. I mean, that certainly fits with what's later in the trailer, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope that's not the case. I hope that's not how the Balrog gets there.
I mean, especially not if this leaf has anything to do with the priest or priestess or acolyte or whatever.
Right.
Because I don't want
They wouldn't have that sort of power.
Right. Exactly.
I think the next shot is totally unrelated, by the way.
Maybe to awaken something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe awakening it. You're right. That could work. But still, I don't want it to have anything to do with the Balrog.
I'm with you.
So this next shot I don't think is related at all. I don't think Arondir is standing there watching a leaf burn on the ground in Moria. That's making no sense. I think this is clearly the moment where he's captured before he ends up in those slave pits where he's fighting. Right?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Before that moment. And, as we see the Orcans come out and capture him. It is interesting that in both that shot and the other shot we saw with the Orcans, they have very long, creepy fingers.
Yeah.
I like that, actually.
Yeah, it's really cool.
We'll see how that works. I am actually really excited about the practical orcs. I am.
Me too. That's one of my favorite things about what I've seen so far.
So then, of course, after we get the title screen and the reminder that it comes out far too soon from now, we get the post-credits shot of the trailer.
Yep, the Balrog.
The big Balrog, which I will note...
Yes.
Does not appear to have wings.
It does not appear to have wings.
This has won points with me.
Yep. Otherwise, it is very much the Balrog from the movie, which makes sense because that is John Howe's Balrog.
Yes, it is supposed to be very reminiscent of it, very similar. I have no problem with that whatsoever.
And that is the way I've seen that's how John Howe has depicted Balrogs in his art for a long time.
Yeah. The horns are a little different. The horns are different on this Balrog than on Durin's Bane that we see in Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah, you're right. They are different. They're a little bit more rounded in the movie, aren't they? On Durin's Bane. And these are...
They are. And here they've got that curl back in.
That kind of hook in, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Interesting.
I like it, but I wonder if that's supposed to signal that it's a different Balrog.
No wonder. I don't know. We'll see.
We will find out at some point. I do like that there is a Balrog. That's exciting.
Yeah, for sure.
But see, of course, the thing is that shouldn't be Durin's Bane. According to the storyline, that should not be Durin's Bane because that's not when he ended up in Moria. But a Balrog would be pretty cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's just not Durin's Bane. Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Durin's Bane wasn't awoken until the Third Age, was he?
That's correct.
He slept through the entire Second Age.
Yeah. Long nap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was during the reign of Durin the Sixth that he was awoken.
That's correct.
Awakened.
Yeah. Awakened. It's when his alarm went off.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is a different Balrog. So because I've been hearing people complain about the Balrog shouldn't be there because he blah, blah, blah.
There's other Balrogs, people.
Right.
Okay?
And how do you know that the Balrog is in Moria? You don't.
Right.
So stop. This could be a Balrog anywhere else.
If that leaf and the burning thing, because that did look like Moria.
It did.
If that's related, then it would probably be the Balrog in Moria.
And this is where I remind you that trailers are meant to point you to certain conclusions that are almost never what the actual movie shows or TV shows. They're meant to make you think something that's opposite of what actually is real.
Right.
So I'm just not going to buy that game. And I'm going to assume that this is a different Balrog, whether it's in Moria or someplace else.
I like that explanation.
Yeah. He's got different horns. His nephew, a few thousand years from now, will look different.
Right. Because, Balrogs have nephews.
Yeah. Their family reunions are a little interesting, though.
Yeah.
They're always barbecues because really, what else are you going to do?
What else are you going to do?
Nobody serves ice cream.
Right. And it takes a really long time for the long distance relations to get there because they can't fly.
Well said, sir. That's brilliant. I'd actually like to wrap the show up on that. I think we have to because we're out of time. We'll have to talk about the article on our next episode. Article. I say articles because, of course, there's several from Entertainment Weekly and Film Magazine.
Yep.
And we're going to get to that the next time. So hopefully sometime next week, we'll get that out to you, and then we'll get to those foundational episodes. But for now, that concludes the 10th episode of the Rings of Power Wrap-Up. Be sure to join us again next time, though, as we do touch on those articles and then start to move into the foundational episodes on the peoples and lore of the Second Age.
That's right. We're planning on doing an episode each on elves, men, dwarves, and a 4th episode covering the Harfoots and the bad guys together. There's not as much lore with either of those races, so.
No, that's true.
But you're going to want to make sure that you've subscribed to this podcast wherever you listen. Now, before we go, we want to take a moment to thank the team that helps make this show better. That's our editor, Jordan Rennells, our barlowman, Becca Davis, our social media manager, Casey Hilsey, and our website guru, Phil Dean.
Speaking of the website, please be sure to visit us there at ringswrapup.com. You'll find show notes, outtakes eventually, and our online storefront, and a lot more.
And you definitely are going to want to check out our library page. Of course, this show is about the Amazon adaptation, but Alan and I are fans of the books first and foremost, and we've provided links for you to get nearly every book we mention on the show. And we do get a few pennies from the purchases you make there, so thank you.
And one last thing as always, don't forget to send your thoughts, comments, and questions to Barlowman at theprancingponypodcast.com.
Now, Barlowman's a lot more reliable lately, but we do get a lot of mail. So we'll get to you as soon as we can, and your question or comment may be featured on a future episode.
As always, though, this has been far too short a time to spend among such excellent and admirable listeners. But until next time.
Farewell, friends.